Welcome, everybody, to this week's Distressed Property Call. This podcast and broadcast is brought to you by HomeLoanAdvocates. That's right, my partner David Bartels at HomeLoanAdvocate. They specialized in distressed property solutions for buyers, sellers, investors, and realtors across the country. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter the situation you're in. If you're working on a distressed property and you need some assistance, call 805-413-8000. Again, that number is 805-413-8000. Ask for David Bartels or visit HomeLoanAdvocates.com. Or if you'd like, send David an email at david@HomeLoanAdvocates.com. This episode is also brought to you by Monster Marketing. That's right. That's the reason this call started and why we do it each and every week. Monster Marketing. It is a direct marketing method that I created to get face-to-face with people that have missed payments. It's literally 3% of the market, some more in other areas, but Monster Marketing guarantees face-to-face results with these people. We will give you proven step-by-step coaching, training, and mentoring so that you can convert those individuals into listings or deals, depending on being a realtor or investor. If you would like to find out more, go visit Honish.com. That's HONISH.com.
Well, I didn't hear anything, so we'll assume that it's already started. Hi, everybody. Welcome to 2020. LeeHonish, David Bartels, bringing you really, I know it's labeled as distressed properties, but the truth of the matter is how to be a better agent. I mean, that's really what we've been doing here. It's what we've been doing for our coaching students. First and foremost, I'm joined as always by the foremost leading authority on the subject of mitigation of short sales, David Bartels. How are you, David?
David is fine. Raring to go, rested. How about you?
I'm good. I've been working all through the holidays, creating content and videos and changing my position on life, right? I guess that's where we pick right up. First and foremost, David, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Well, you can call me at 805-413-8000, 805-413-8000, and email David at HomeLoanAdvocates.com. And you might want to call me to talk about short sales, distressed properties, real estate transactions in general, joining our real estate team, whatever you need that I can help with, I'm happy to do.
And my name's LeeHonish for everybody for 2020. I've been voted the last 3 years one of the most innovative marketers in America for something called the Monster Marketing System. I also have a bunch of other lead funnels. All of them are guaranteed lead sources. They're all guaranteed to get you connection and engaged. You can reach me at 858-663-2537. Just send me a text. I'll do a free 1 hour with you. I will be more than happy to hear all about your life and what's going on with you. You can also send me an email at LeeHonish at Yahoo. Make it simple. Or go to Honish.com. Learn about why there are 20 people on this call and stacking up quickly as we talk about it. Last week, David, I did a Thursday reboot webinar that everybody found rather shocking and rather emotional out of me. And you know what's going on with me, and I'm not going to cover ground here. And I think it's, for the podcast people, it's last episode last week. But I was saying that in 2020, and I firmly and fundamentally believe this, there is no way to compete with the onslaught of what's going to happen, right? I don't think we can compete anymore with Zillow or the next Trulia or the next Zip or whatever it's called, right? People are going to dive harder and harder into the digital realm to go directly after buyers and sellers. And I don't see this trend changing. As a marketing guy, I've been doing this, for those wondering. I've been covering marketing now in real estate for a decade. Wow, I get to say that officially. I've been doing this for a decade now. And specifically for real estate, what I'm kind of shocked by is the trend that what makes you as a broker or anybody who's on this call in the room unique, David, is the ability to get face-to-face. And we seem to be getting further away from connection and face-to-face and still looking for some kind of solution that will drive leads without us having to connect. I want to get your feedback on this, but let's start with the first question, which is, do you see the trend of the Zillow-like companies ending anytime in the future, in the next decade?
Well, I don't know if you depends on what your perspective of Zillow is, I guess. So if you look at Zillow as a aggregator of housing data, that where realtors pay to advertise on it, probably not. But if you look at Zillow as an iBuyer and a provider of services to real estate consumers and maybe real estate agents, then I think that yes, you're going to see more of that. In fact, I'm launching today our website for lowsetfee.com, and which is one of those services that are designed to give people an alternative to the way that real estate has always been done, because technology makes it possible. So I'd love to get people's feedback on what they think of the concept. It's still a rough cut. The new videos are being shot Friday to update it, but aside from that, the concept is there and it's very simple. It's lowsetfee.com if you want to see the direction I think that the future of real estate is going to be. We've been test marketing it for some time with very positive, success. Now we have to figure out how to start marketing that website to drive traffic to it, which you and I have talked about before.
Absolutely. Which is really ultimately the question, right? And I put it up on the screen for everybody, lowsetfee.com. It's up on the screen right now for all of you to see theoretically. Let me make sure what your attendee view is, but it's an interesting topic. And it's black, of course.
You got a big dark blot there. There you go.
All right, hold on. I'll just move everything over and out of the way. How's that for everybody? Does it work for everyone? There you go. Which brings me to an interesting topic, right? I think the thing that will make real estate agents successful, right, is this connection. So you know this. We've talked about it. We've talked about it here. I did the thing last week that was really emotional for me. And it's really important to learn how to connect and engage in the next decade. I don't think there's a way around this at the moment. I think the thing that sets it apart, even with a unique proposition like this, David, I mean, let's just go through the page. The phone number is designed to generate a phone call, right? Ultimately, this is going to put me into a video or to a squeeze page, right, where I'm going to have the opportunity to either talk to you or meet with you face to face. That's the value of this, right? It's not just creating a digital experience or an avatar. One of the things that I dislike about a company that I'm going to work with is that they created a virtual work environment. I thought that was insane, right? The education was virtual, the whole environment was virtual, and I personally think that it's substandard at best. And everybody wants to move to this VR, we're all online, let's put a chip in our head kind of movement for the next decade. And my attitude is, how do we get belly to belly? Like, how do we make relationships? And I think that that's the most valuable tool of the coming decade.
Well, listen, sales is sales. Technology makes it easier. Technology allows us to go faster. Technology allows us to lower the cost of doing business. But technology is not going to do the work. Technology is not going to be able to build the relationship. You can't build a trusted relationship via technology. It requires personal contact. The way that we're using, you can't sign up for our service on lowsetfee.com. All you can do is kind of get some information without obligation. All you can do is all we're trying to do is give you enough information. So if this is something that's interesting to you, that you call us or you request us to call you to provide you with more the rest of the information you need to figure out whether or not this is a service that really makes sense for you or not. And I think that's true of all technology. The foundation of any sale, okay, but let's talk about real estate, is simply finding people to sell and selling the people you find. It's not more complicated than that. And if you look around at the most successful people, the people who you admire most in real estate or any sale for that matter, you'll find that they are highly successful at finding people to sell and converting those people into sales. And that's, and what we spend a lot of time here is talking about finding people to sell, finding people to sell, finding people to sell. And then what we do in Advocate Marketing System is really conversion and selling the people you find and walking them through, the funnel. But I think the challenge that most people have is we take a simple concept, as simple as I was trying to make that sound, and we make it more complicated. We overanalyze it. We anticipate objections in advance. We make limited effort based on our fear of failure, or worse yet, our assumption that we're going to fail.
I completely agree, which is why I wrote the 3 steps. So we'll do it together again, and I want to use yours as an example. First is, the connector, the icebreaker, the way to connect and engage. I don't care if it's online. I don't care if it's offline. David came up with a brilliant way to create a connector to basically, let's just break it down to simplistic, David. This is just a conversation starter.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. It's a unique value proposition. We've talked about that before. You've actually outlined on here, right, your unique selling proposition and why it's cheaper to do it on this next part as you scroll down. And the idea is, I just want to create the connection. And I know this because I coach this now, David. I've become the fixer to all people stuck. I guess that's my niche. It's my niche for 2020. And it's good for me. There are people on this call that I work with, and they'll tell you that I've done great work, but it's come at, and you know this as well, it's come at a very high emotional cost, right? When you started in this business, and it happened to me recently, you go through these great traumas and tragedies and losses and breakups and horrible things. But at the end of the day, you still need to work. And it's a horrible, horrible reality that even in your darkest moments, the reality is your landlord's not going to understand that you don't feel really good. Like the bank is not going to understand, I couldn't pay because I just didn't feel like getting it done. So let's start with a USP, having a bulletproof USP. You're going to go with this for the foreseeable future. This is a great USP, right?
Well, I think so. I mean, listen, the way that we've been marketing, we're just trying to hit what I think is a sensitive part of the process. I mean, we've seen listing commissions are getting smaller and smaller. Yeah. There's a lot of compression on the list-sided commissions. I mean, start with Redfin, who's at 1%, which is less than what I charge. We do a set fee, and they provide less services that we do, but they've got this big trusted brand that they built on the backbone of technology, but ultimately it didn't take off until they integrated with people who could communicate, finish the communication of the method. The technology attracts people, but it's the people who do the conversion. And so basically, you've got to come up with some sort of unique selling proposition to be able to do that. And so what we're doing is that we're seeing all this technology is amassing around how to do full fee real estate better and faster and more efficiently. Okay. But none of that money is poured into the for sale by owner space. And just like Zillow has made it possible for people to sell their house without an agent, okay, and Zillow has helped people find their house without an agent. What we're finding is that for sellers, it's a little more complicated than buyers. The way the world has changed for buyers is that I used to call them, I say I mean the real estate agents collectively, we had a secret book of all the listings. It was all a relationship, and who you chose really mattered. You wanted to do business with the most connected agent in town, and I would call you up and say, hey, I got 3 houses we need to go at, Lee, this week. And then, but today you don't need me. You don't wait for me. You don't call me and see what I found.
Right.
You go on Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, Homes.com, Redfin.
I'll expand this. I was watching a video with Bill Burr and Bert Kreischer. Shout out to those guys. But they're driving around Burbank pricing homes as they drive around. They were hip enough with the apps that are available to be able to price homes and be able to do a comedy a bit about it. That's the world we live in. And I think that real estate agents really have this fundamental belief that they're the only ones who have access to this information now. It's not a unique, okay, this is going to sound crappy, David. Being a realtor is not a unique selling proposition. It's not.
Oh, no. Well, you've heard me say 1,000 times, 1 in 5 agents, 1 in 5 adults is a real estate agent. I mean, 1 in 95 adults. That means call it 100. That means if you've got, 500 adult Facebook friends, 5 of them are realtors. So the unique selling proposition here is to give people courage. Realtors have 2 advantages that for sale by owners don't have. Number 1 is that we have access to the multiple listing service and the syndication that comes with that gets you the massive exposure, and you literally get the house listed on every local realtor's website. And you make a proposition to the realtor, say, hey, bring me a deal. Because what Zillow is right now for sale by owners, it's a lead source for real estate agents who are calling trying to get the listings. And I've talked to a gazillion of these guys now, and they all say 90% of the calls are coming from agents. I said, well, if you list your house, okay, they'll stop calling you. Okay, and instead of when they call you, you say, yeah, fine, I don't want to list it, but if you find me a buyer, I'll give you 2.5%. I said, just make that blanket offer to everybody. You list the house with you. Don't list it with an agent. We'll facilitate it. We'll put it on the web for you, but it's your listing. They're going to call you. You're going to do the showings. You're going to answer the questions. You're going to get all the flexibility and control and cost savings that you'd expect to get for sale by owner, but you're going to get the massive exposure a real estate agent can give you by putting it in the multiple listing service. But the fact of the matter is 99% of agents just take a few photos, put it on the internet, and pray that someone's going to buy your house and they're going to get paid. You don't need an agent to do that. So we facilitate that for you. And we charge you $450 up front for the administrative costs associated with that. But agents have another advantage that you have, and that's familiarity with the paperwork, the disclosures, the closing process, and are generally skilled negotiators because they have more experience negotiating these transactions. So when it's time to get an offer, whether or not it's from an agent or somebody that you found and you're not even paying a buyer agent commission for, you direct them to us, and we step in as the full service agents, and we handle those negotiations for you. We get you in escrow, we pull you through the entire process, and we get it done, and then you pay us $2,500 at the close of escrow. The total fee is $2,950. That's a unique selling proposition that works. And listen, if you get fatigued and it doesn't look like you want to do this and you just wish you had listed it, well, we'll give you your $450 and credit it towards one of our full service options, and we'll take over and get it done for you. So you got nothing to lose by going for it. And that message is really resonating with consumers. And we think that we're going to do dozens and dozens of these a month.
Oh, I know you are.
We're right now doing LA, Ventura, and Santa Barbara counties, and are preparing to be all over California by the end of the year and start nationally by next year.
So you're starting the podcast when for each individual market? But I digress.
It sounds like today.
Yeah, you should. So for those of you on the call that are going, okay, this is a great idea. I hear what David's saying. I hear what Lee's saying. I need a connector. I need a USP. First of all, pick up your phone. Everybody pick up your phone. Text 858-663-2537. I will talk to you for an hour. I will find your USP. I'm good at it. It's what I do. Strangely, I'm becoming the therapist Gary Vaynerchuk of all real estate. I really did not. I swear to you, I did not see
realtors need therapy too.
Well,
I get lots of free therapy with my real estate transactions.
I swear to you, I didn't think that I'd actually have to bring in Dr. Whitcomb into the real estate market. We shot a video yesterday that I haven't released, and I've already seen sort of the test run of it. Oh my God, David, I had no idea when I decided that your personal traumas are causing you not to be able to connect with people, how big a message that would actually be. Again, 858-663-2537. Go to Honish.com. Get yourself a free one-on-one right now. All right. With that said, let's make it a little more simplistic. Your idea is brilliant and elegant. It's been thought out because that's you.
I'd love to know if people think I'm crazy on this call, these other agents. Do they get excited about it, or do they think that I'm, are they upset that there's another guy coming in and making it harder for me to hold on to this
Donald Ross wrote, brilliant. Barbara DeMarco wrote, that's hilarious. Lee H., the Gary V. of real estate. Yeah, you guys really don't want that. I don't think we need Lee to be the old rock star that I was. Donald is got some weird stuff, and I'll cover it. But yeah, go ahead and everybody comment. I got the questions up. So let's break it down a little simpler because Donald brought this up, right? Knock on warm leads and follow up. I keep telling you this, Donald, and I mean this from a sincere, heartfelt place. Your position is in expertise. You want to believe that there's a system, and there are systems. Systems take 6 to 9 months to make them work legitimately. David will tell you this. I will tell you this. If I build a funnel for someone, or I'll give you an example. I'm actually doing the marketing for a bunch of independent companies that have nothing to do with real estate. The first thing I tell them, it's going to take 6 to 9 months before you see anything out of knocking on warm leads, following up with leads. Drip lines take time, right? What I'm talking about is immediacy with something like with what David created. Barbara DeMarco, as I'm learning more how to embrace the open door, offer pad, etc., I have a strategy that I will be implementing. It's about providing more options to that seller. It's a USP, David. I think we've said it. I feel it's redundant in 2020, but let's take Barbara's question, David. Do specialists make more money than a general practice person?
Well, I probably. I think that, the best advice I can give people is pick one thing, do it better than everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it depends on what you mean by a specialist. But when I look at, so when I think specialist, I may be thinking more general, like be a real estate agent, okay, versus a real estate agent.
But David, that requires the skill to connect.
And running a daycare.
No, but David, that requires, I don't want to get into the argument of this, and this is what happened last week when I shot my one-on-one video that everybody wanted to know if I needed to call my doctor after. You need the ability to connect, right? You need to be able to, right? We've talked about this repeatedly on the call, and if you're frightened by what I'm about to say next, this is reality. It's trust, and those are flip-floppable. I actually shot the video with the doctor yesterday, but like and trust are the most paramount things in creating a business relationship. And the third, sadly, for someone like Donald who's on the call, your expertise does not rank as high as somebody trusting or liking you. That's reality. And if you don't have the ability to get past that, then you better be the most expert ever as an expert, right?
Right.
I've seen it a million times. I've used the example of my ex's brother-in-law, right, or my ex's brother. I've watched him walk into environments where he is not an expert, doesn't know crap about what he's talking about because he's trust and likable. He gets the deal, period. Right? That's reality. And that's really, you guys really need to have this resonate. I recently picked up a coaching person, David, and 10 years of real estate. My task for her on the second day, was to go out and meet 3 people and tell them you do real estate. And she said, I don't think I can do that. What are you talking about? That's not even a sentence in my universe. If I asked you, David, to go out today to a farmer's market or down to La Brea or out to the valley or whatever and meet and engage, do you think you could tell 3 people that you do real estate?
Yeah, well, you can wear a T-shirt that says that.
Right. But what I'm talking about is, can you just go and buy vegetables? Right. Well, let's go back to what we talked about last year, the hot dog line discussion. Can you casually, without being a jerk off trying to jam a business card into somebody's hands, can you engage someone where they ask? Ultimately, it's permission-based marketing, right? I always go back to my mentor and friend, Seth Godin. It's permission-based marketing. If somebody asks you what you do, you're allowed to tell them what you do. It's that simple. It's not, I don't know why, I have theories on this and we can cover it, but I have theories on why everybody gets so obsessed with, I need to follow the script, I need to follow the formula, please Lee, just give me more leads. What's the point? You got to talk to them at some point and you're not going to engage them.
Right.
Let's go back to the hot dog discussion, or let's just use the farmer's market kind of scenario, David. I'm going to drop you into a farmer's market, right?
All right.
And you're doing nothing more than walking around and meeting people. Do you think, based on, let's go with a crazy number of work hours, 2 hours, do you think 3 people will ask you, if you engage them correctly, are they going to ask you what you do for a living?
100% of the people will ask you what you do for a living if you chat with them for more than 45 seconds.
Yes.
And as soon as they find out what you do for a living, they're going to say, well, how's the market?
Right.
And then my response is, well, it depends. Are you a buyer or a seller? And I've instantly qualified them.
I completely agree. And it pains me on certain levels as a guy who coaches. I literally talk to people on a daily basis, tell them exactly what to do. And when I say something as simple as just go out and talk real estate, you have no business. I will give you a real-time example, David. I have a new client on Monday who started with me. I said, you've been in real estate for a very long time. I'm not going to say how long. I want you to scrape together all your phone numbers that you have of every client you've ever worked with, right? And I'm going to slide broadcast them, and you're going to take those calls. I'm going to say roughly this person has been doing real estate for 10 years, David, very successfully. How many phone numbers do you think they sent me?
Less than 50.
10. And that's heartbreaking to me, right? Because the personal, well, I don't want to get into it, and this is why I work with a therapist, but the reality is you guys aren't getting over whatever you're not getting over. Whoever told you weren't good enough or strong enough or great enough, David, I don't want to out you on this, but and maybe you can back me up. You've done a ton of work on yourself, correct?
Yes.
And so have I, right? At some point, you've got, I don't care what age you are, you got to break down and realize, okay, maybe I'm the problem, right? And this is kind of the core of the video of last week. If you're not connecting, there's a problem. You're just going to do 1 to 5 transactions per year. You're just going to survive. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous at this point. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Well, I do mean it in a negative way, David. But I don't know how else to slap people back into the reality of understanding this. If you're not able to go to a farmer's market or a Sly broadcast or or anything and create anything for any kind of connection, and you believe that it's just how many doors you can knock and how many mailers you can send and how many scripts you can read, you're just going to survive. You're not going to thrive in the next decade, period. Let's move forward. And this is the topic, actually, I wanted to cover, David. It's my favorite. Shiny bauble syndrome. I've talked about it with the doctor. I've got the video on it. I would love your take on this because you've bought a lot of product. What is it in real estate with buying the I'm going to lose weight and get a listing pill?
Well, I think the lose weight is universal.
Barbara liked that one. Barbara DeMarco loved that one.
Just go to the gym today and see how full it is.
Oh, no kidding.
That's number one. But I suffer from this myself, the shiny bauble, and about the end of November, mid-November, I made a decision to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff that I was and not spend any more time on it. I mean, great ideas, but they're just distractions from the core business, and they keep me from focusing on the things that are really important. And so, so I suffer from it too, and I've got to be careful. I've got to make sure that I can justify it, but sometimes the attempt to generate more revenue actually ends up costing you revenue, and that happened to me this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I'm not going to go systematically down the ones. I'm just going to cover the big two that everybody buys and literally spends tens of thousands of dollars, including David Bartels, I might add. Let's start with the Zillow leads. First of all, do I think there's value in them? Possibly. I mean, I personally have never seen anybody be very happy with them. And I can safely say this, it's obvious to me they're reselling those leads. Like, you're not the only one getting those leads. You were a part of the Zillow program, David, that ultimately got us a really great party in San Francisco a few years back. But tell me your experience with the almighty Zillow and Trulia.
Zillow has never been profitable for me. And so I haven't done leads I haven't bought leads for many, many years now from Zillow. I generate all my own leads.
Which takes us to the other one that somebody brought up this.
But let me just say that's my experience, okay? I have I talk to other agents who would be out of business without them. They're raving fans of Zillow leads. So it's, and different markets seem to work better than others.
I would make the argument for Zillow leads if you're in a unique area, right? A very, very unique area. I think you have less competition, and I think it makes sense. When you're talking the Conejo or LA or some of these major metros, I just get the feeling constantly on Zillow leads that they're being resold, which takes me to number 2. And I have nothing good to say about this particular group, and they can feel free to write me an email at LeeHonish at Yahoo. Z Buyer. Just stop buying Z Buyer, people. I'm telling you, I have never called on a Z Buyer. I have never tried a Z Buyer lead from any area, and this is multiple sources. Z Buyer leads, and I don't know how they keep making money. I've never called on any one of their leads or followed up with any one of their leads, David, where they went, I never filled out a form. So I'm starting to get the idea that they're just plumbing stuff right off the web, which is the problem with web leads at the end of the day, right? Which is why you create such a tight funnel.
Listen, I spend more time in my day managing lead generation, lead flow, lead follow-up, and lead conversion than anything else that I do. And some days more than everything else combined. I am obsessed with this idea of building the database, nurturing that database, and converting in our database. And I spend significant money to make sure that I have the right tools and technology in place to do it. And this is the reason it's driving my my demand for to hire 3 more agents right now, because the 3 agents that I have now can't take any more leads. They've got deals in escrow and too many buyers that they're working with, and they're just saying, I want to, I just can't. They just can't do it. And so that's the result of building the database, and it's really the foundation of which your business grows every year, as opposed to you having to reinvent yourself every year, because after years in the business, you only have 10 names.
Yeah, I completely agree. Donald writes, David, what is your secret to implementation? And let me say this from a task person, Donald. The reality is, and nobody likes this answer out of me, and David is going to respond the same way. It is, excuse me, it's about creating a capture system based on content, right? People ask me all the time, why are you a content marketer, right? So for any of you listening, go ahead, 858-663-2537, call me. What you're looking at for David, first, David came up with a unique selling proposition. Then he had to build out a website. And he's doing this right now. He just said it, and you can see it on the page. Let me get it back up. But if you scroll down, the next thing that's really important here, watch the video. That's content. So content drives the marketing, that drives people to engage, that drives people to click. You put that on social media, and I know nobody likes this answer for the next decade. You're not going to get rid of Facebook, okay? It's ranked higher than your LinkedIn. It's ranked higher than your Snapchat. It's ranked higher than Twitter. And there's a reason for it. It's because every human being is on it or connected to it. Facebook is your pivot social media wise. So you need a business page. You need content. You need these very unique selling propositions. You need capture pages. But to your answer to implementation, from my perspective, just me answering it for you before David answers it, Donald, the reality is you have to invest in this. And it's not going to fix in 1 week. It's not going to fix in 2 weeks. We've said it before on this call. This is months and months of creating content. It's why I charge what I charge, okay? Because I have to create months and months of podcasts and videos and pictures and memes and content. And go ahead, David. Explain your implementation for your success. I don't think I missed any of the steps there, but that's reality.
It really is a hyper focus on the basis. So, listen, for last year we got a little stagnant, and we got stagnant because we had all these leads, but we were doing a lousy job generating these leads. We figured out how to generate leads, but the conversion really was lacking. And I think that the biggest waste of money that you have in real estate is generating leads that you're not willing to convert. And so before I went out there and really expanded, generating new leads, what I did is I really focused on the infrastructure. I had to switch my marketing platforms. I switched to YLOPO, and then I bought a subscription to keep my competition out of my area. So I overpaid for it to keep everybody out so I can have that unique selling proposition. Then I had to adjust, my action plans. We had to adjust our message to simplify it a little more and get it out there. And then the other thing is, when we generate the leads, how are we going to do it? I've got currently 3 inside sales agents. One specializes in buyer leads, one in expireds and canceleds and sellers, and one on for sale by owners and sellers. And so once I got them trained and generating appointments every day, then I was ready to turn on the spigot and go from there. But it's taken a long time. It's taken a lot of money. It's taken a lot of my focus, and it's really created some ups and downs. But now it's paying off really big, and we'll probably have the biggest January that we've ever had right now this month. So I'm really blown away by how effective it's been, and more importantly, all that hard work has turned into fun. Because when real estate is hitting on all cylinders, there's not a better business. There's not a more fun business, and I want to say maybe not true, but there's not a more profitable business than when it's hitting on all cylinders.
Well, I'll expand that sentence. Non-college educated, non-specialty, non-doctor. Like, you can't make this kind of money without a college degree. Like, you really need to be some kind of very specialized doctor where you can make a high-end six figures. Real estate is remarkable if you really invest in it.
Yeah, it's obscene, but it's not. Here's what I've learned. There's no light switch. Buying leads from Zillow isn't going to solve your problems if you can't convert. Okay. So even if you can convert, it's probably not going to solve. Buying a CRM isn't going to fix your problems if you don't implement it.
Right.
Having hot leads makes no difference if you don't follow up. I mean, there's a whole system, and the problem that most agents have is that most of them aren't marketers. They're not in the marketing business. The ones that are marketers aren't closers. The closers aren't marketers, and this is the reason why teams work so well. And so the person who's going to come work for me is somebody. I like real estate. I don't want to be in the business. I don't want to be investing time and money trying to generate leads. I want to work with warm people, hot people who are ready to do a real estate transaction over the next 90 days, and have 5 or 6 of those at any one time that I can be out showing houses, negotiating, running through escrow, and that kind of thing. And that's what they want to do. So when you work in a team, you work in a team doing this part of it that you like to do best. And the part that we need now for us is that we need agents to take these leads of people who are ready to do a transaction and go out and get it done. And so, for those people who don't want to do the marketing, you might consider joining the team. For those of you that are great at marketing, you might consider either joining the team or partnering with an agent and create your own team, or become your own brokerage where you generate the leads and you have your agents go out and handle most of those calls. But you partner with people to do the things that you're not great at, and that's really the reason the team concept is working better, which is different than picking a new broker, because the broker just wants you to put more of their signs out and build their brand, but you're still responsible for your own marketing. They're not marketing for you. You're actually marketing for them. These big agencies that people work for are really not any different than Zillow. They're aggregating all these agents and getting you to buy signs, and every time you host an open house with your name on it, nobody looks at your name. Agents look at their names, but consumers look at the brand. You have your name on a Keller Williams sign, you just branded Keller Williams, not you.
Step 1 is connections. Step 2, stop buying shit, please, people. Step 3, David, and I know you don't like to talk about it, and I did it last week for the first time ever, the emotion of it. I would dare make the argument, David, that when you got into real estate with everything that was going on and all the personal work you were doing, you weren't successful until you dealt with, right, your personal inner traumas.
Oh, Lee, true.
Right? right?
No,
And everybody
it's
asks
true.
me, well, no, here's the reason
I
I
was
bring
a
it up.
mess.
Everybody brings this up. They're like, why did you bring in a relationship expert to help you coach people? I said, because I don't deal with trauma. I'm not a doctor. Like, I'm not a therapist. I'm not. And being not good enough or strong enough for somebody, like whatever the loop is in your life that's holding you back. And that's why I bring it up and throw it on the table. I know you don't like to talk about it. I talked about it last week and nearly lost my cookies on a video. The reality is life is going to happen and it's going to trigger things in you and it's going to hold you back. And there is a huge difference. David, you are thriving. I don't think there's anybody on this call who's going to dispute you're thriving. You've now got the wife, you got the life, you got your business, you've got a future and you've got a vision. But if we rewind this, how low did it get before you had to go, I need to fucking
Well,
fix this?
in 2009, my 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 business, my fledgling, loan mod business failed. I lost $1 million. The short sale business almost never got off the ground. My house went into foreclosure. My car got repossessed. I fired 22 employees on one day and left it with one. And we rebuilt from Social Security with my house in foreclosure. It was really and my wife of 7 months filed for divorce. So it was a really difficult patch there, and we went with the bootstrap method, and we built it up to what turned out to be the largest short sale negotiation company that we know of, and we recovered completely from that. And then from there, we started the real estate company, and then we bought the escrow company, and now we're starting lowsetfee.com, which is really just an extension of what we're already doing. And we've implemented the Smart Buyer Plus program, which we can talk about another day. And that's been a real big boon for our business. And basically, we don't care how real estate has always been done. We're focused on offering products and services that consumers want and demand, and are willing to engage us in order to have us provide.
From an emotional level, and I'll qualify it with me. Most of my stuff has happened since October to now. And I didn't think things could get worse, and they kept getting worse. And the reality was, ultimately, I had to look at myself and how I dealt with things and learn how to process, right? How much internal work did you do on yourself on an emotional level to get you to where you are right now?
Well, I'm still doing that. I'm in a support group. In a support organization I've been in since 2009. I started November 2009. Over 10 years, I continue to process some of that, hurt and anger and resentment and depression and those kind of things. And ultimately, I come to the conclusion that I'm not as smart as I thought I was, and that I'm not as almighty as I thought I was, and that there are all I have to do is figure out what I want and what I need, and just leave everything and everyone better than I found them. And which is sometimes easier said than done. And it's required me to be more loving, more kind, more generous, more patient. And those are things that I still work at every single day. And some days feels like I've made no progress at all. And then other days I can see a massive difference in how far I've come personally. But all those, once you get the ego out of the way, once you get the lust for money out of the way, once you focus on just doing the best you can for people, putting their needs ahead of yours. We're talking about business now. The money flows to you freely and in abundance.
I agree. And I want to make this clear for everybody listening. You can't script it. You can't buy it. You can't get around it. If you didn't listen to last week's audio, please get it, especially the coaching group. I'll make it available on the coaching board. People on the podcast have heard it. I can't get around it, right? I don't have a choice. At some point, you have to wake up and look at yourself and go, hey, maybe I'm the problem in this whole scenario. And it's the reason I'm kind of laughing at that is that's me emotionally not being able to deal with the fact that maybe I'm the problem, right? Maybe I'm the problem for my failed relationships. Maybe I'm the problem for work not being the way it is. There is
I'll be back. I'm going to go get a tissue. I'll be right back.
But that's reality, right? And that's a really hard thing, especially everybody on this call, everybody listening, you're not 20 something, you're not 18 something. Most of us are midway through our lives. I don't want to break it to you. It's all falling apart for one very simple reason. You're not dealing with it. You're not dealing with your ability to connect with people. You're not we're in a business that is designed to connect with people. That is a really scary thing. I can't get around this for the next decade. I can't beat Zillow. I can't beat Trulia. I can't beat the next awesome whatever webrealtor.com twist. They have more money than you. They're going to get more leads than you. The reality is what you can do is go connect and engage and be you and be trustable and likable and engage and create relationships. And then ultimately, you can have the discussion. Do I do direct marketing? Do I do social media marketing? Do I build a page just like David's? Yeah, of course you do. Don't be silly. Of course you build all those things. But until you can actually walk down to a farmer's market and just go buy vegetables and feel that, you know what, if I go out and I'm genuine and I'm me and I connect and I engage and I'm okay with who I am, they're going to ask me what I do for a living. They just are. I've never not, with my business partner, David, gone to the Oceanside farmer's market and walked around and not walked away where people have asked either of us, if not both of us, what do we do? It just happens, right? And because we're willing to engage and connect, and this is the big one that I know Donald won't like. We're real. I'm interested. What do you do? Why do you do this? Tell me about you. And David's right. If it's longer than, I'd even go 30 seconds, right? If I'm genuinely interested in their lives, they're going to be genuinely interested in my lives.
Well, here's the good news. When I think about all these setbacks, the setbacks that I have had, over my career, over my life, and I think about it just doesn't get worse. What I realize in retrospect, given the time and space, forgive me for those of you who don't agree, that was God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. Completely. It was setting me up for what was possible, that I got stuck in something that I thought was right for me, but turned out wasn't right for me. What I thought was the best I could do was not the best I could do. And the only way that I could get to where I needed to go to achieve what was possible, even though I didn't know it, was to get out of that situation or have that experience and build on that. So, when I think about all the failed relationships, just prepared me for the one that I have now. When I think about all the failed attempts at business, just prepared me for what I'm doing right now. All those dead-end jobs that I thought were meaningless turned out to help me develop a skill that I would ultimately need to do what I what I do now. So everything, what always seems like the worst thing that can happen in almost every situation has turned into something that was critical, maybe the best thing that ever happened to me in the long run, in order for me to get to the next phase of possibility. And that's what I think everyone's got to keep that in perspective, that it's just when we think the world is ending, the truth is it's probably just beginning, and you got to let go of what you've got in order to get what you really want.
I completely agree. And let me echo that sentiment for those that know what's going on with me or listened to last week, right? If that relationship didn't end, that business relationship and everything that I had tied up into that one moment and the way it ended, David, I needed my ego taken away from me, right? I needed to learn to be selfless. And my clients see it, you see it, everybody who contacts me or people who spend time with me, I've learned how to be selfless. I actually care about what the other person has to say, right? It hurts what happened to me and how it happened to me and what occurred, right? And then ultimately, and this happens for a lot of you, I have a family tragedy. I have something with my child. By the way, that all happened to me in 90 days. David knows this. A lot of people on this call know it. All that stuff happened to me in 90 days. And I paid a man $300 an hour to make me sit in it and look at it and go, well, how's it feel to care about everybody else? Right? And that's ultimately what's going to make you a great real estate agent. Let me say this. If you want to build a page and a funnel and all this and really learn how to connect and engage, call me 858-663-2537. I will get you leads. I will get you marketing. I will get you with the right people. I will fix everything for you. I'm actually getting really good at it. David, if they have distressed property questions or people in the coaching group, give them your info.
You can call me about distressed properties, 805-413-8000. You got a short sale. You need somebody who needs a foreclosure postponement, maybe help with a loan mod. We would be a resource for you. David at HomeLoanAdvocates.com is another way to reach me. If you're interested in some of our programs, particularly if you're in the Ventura County area and are thinking about maybe a change and want to be part of a team that allows you to do the things that you love doing around real estate, I'd love to have that chat with you as well. And that number is 805-379-3300, 805-379-3300.